Thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Clark.
And I'm Jennifer Meckles. Tonight's presidential debate was guaranteed to be historic, the first between a sitting president and a former president.
What America witnessed was a spectacle of bumbling, incoherence, and unrestrained lying.
Folks, how are you?
President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump met for the first time in 4 years without a handshake. Biden's campaign had pushed for these debates to disprove Republican claims that he's too frail to be the oldest president in history. But on the debate stage, Biden often stared downward, his mouth agape, his voice weak, and his train of thought repeatedly going off the tracks.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
At times, Biden's answers were a whisper and incoherent.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Donald Trump was significantly more restrained than usual, but he lied repeatedly, without interruption or correction by the debate moderators from CNN, which said it would not be fact-checking false claims in real time.
The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants.
Trump made unchecked, unchallenged false claims about immigration, inflation, the deficit, abortion, foreign policy, even his own criminal convictions. Biden also made false and misleading claims on Social Security, Medicare, and the U.S. military. At one point, Biden challenged Trump on his morality.
How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star.
And Trump dodged, then qualified his answer on whether he will accept a second election loss.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely.
Biden and Trump are scheduled to debate once more on ABC in September. Tonight, out on Chatfield Reservoir, first responders rescued a total of 8 people and 2 dogs from the water.
South Metro Fire says strong winds created a dangerous situation out there tonight. Ria Jha joins us live just to kind of catch us up on the conditions out there and what happened, Ria.
Jennifer and Kyle, the winds are strong. You can see my hair just kind of blowing all over the place. But we just spoke with Colorado Parks and Wildlife, who cleared up some information for us. So South Metro Fire responded to 2 calls tonight. The first one was around 7:30, where 4 paddleboarders were out on the water. They got stuck in some trees due to the high winds. South Metro Fire ended up going and rescuing them. Then a second call came with 2 more paddleboarders and their 2 dogs. So then another boat comes in with 2 more people. They tried to save the 2 paddleboarders. That boat ends up capsizing. South Metro Fire ended up having to deploy 2 Ranger boats because the first Ranger boat they sent out ended up also getting some water in the boat. So 6 paddleboarders, 2 dogs, and 2 people on a boat, and CPW says none of them were wearing life jackets.
That's really something that we're shocked to see, especially with the weather being what it is, the wind gusts that we're experiencing, and really just the high number of water recreational deaths we've had so far this year.
Thankfully, everyone is okay. No injuries were reported, but CPW is asking anyone that's thinking about going out on the water in the future to just look out for those severe weather warnings that were out tonight, and please wear a life jacket if you are thinking about it. Reporting live at Chatfield State Park, Ria Jha, 9 News.
2 small fires burning tonight at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal have now been contained. These started just before 6. Officials had to close the refuge for the rest of the day. Rocky Mountain Arsenal says both of these fires were human-caused.
Yeah, Lauren, we've just seen a couple weeks now where everybody is on a knife's edge hoping that we don't see one fire after another, that one of them eventually blows up on us.
That's right. We've seen some dry afternoons and very hot weather. We have been getting some scattered showers and storms during the second portion of the day, but really that's not enough to keep most of these fires from spreading. So that's what we're really going to continue to try and contain over the next few days. But as you take a look at our HD Doppler radar, we did have some scattered showers and storms that were pretty strong earlier today across the western slope and into the high country. Now all of this is starting to clear out. We have one large storm just east of Denver. It's already pushed its way through areas like and Lyman. We're going to wait for this to move eastward and out of Colorado. With it right now, we're just seeing some quick downpours, lots of lightning and thunder, gusty winds, and we likely saw some small hail push along with this storm as well. But again, that's going to die out as we go over through the rest of the evening. This afternoon, we did see some hot weather. We made it to 94 degrees at DIA. Most of the Front Range and Eastern Plains was in the 90s. We were a little cooler to the west where we saw those showers. We saw highs in the 70s and 80s in the high country, 90s out west. I'll have a detail on what the rest of our week looks like into our weekend just ahead.
A contractor based in Aurora is accused of stealing $1.3 million from victims of the Marshall Fire. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office has arrested Leona Scott today. They say he had 4 separate contracts with 4 property owners who were all rebuilding after losing their homes. Deputies say he took their money and never finished the work he promised. Investigators say the 63-year-old also was not properly licensed to build homes in Boulder County. If you think you were also a victim, Boulder County Sheriff's Office would like to hear from you. When the Adams County coroner refused for more than a year to review the 2017 death of a man who died under a pile of officers, 9 News Investigates decided it was time to find somebody else to review that case.
Tonight, we can report that new review raises serious questions about the conclusions reached by the Adams County coroner years ago. Investigative reporter Chris Vanderveen spent more than a year putting together this story.
I just hit okay.
Even the most compelling stories
let's see.
mean little in the absence.
Are you all good?
I'm good.
The absence of someone
Okay, hold on.
willing to listen.
Up there, she's gonna come up. It's Avina? Is that how you say it? Hi, Avina. I'm Dr. Gorniak.
7 years after the death of her father, Alex Gutierrez, Avina DeLuna
So first I want to say, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
finally has her audience.
So yes, I reviewed the autopsy report.
At the request of 9 News, Dr. Jan Gorniak reviewed the 2017 autopsy of Gutierrez. Dr. Gorniak
I trained in forensic pathology in Cleveland.
has led thousands of
The
autopsies
deputy chief medical examiner in Washington, D.C.
in cities all over the
To
U.S.
be the chief medical examiner in Atlanta, Georgia.
Her conclusion, the Adams County coroner got it wrong.
The manner of death would definitely be, in my opinion, a homicide and not undetermined.
Homicide
Okay.
due to restraint.
I can't ignore the restraint.
Copy reference 91st in Huron Street.
In order to understand the gravity of that, you must first understand the weight.
Hispanic male across the street from the medical center. He bailed from the vehicle.
The weight of this.
All right, we're emergent. Pecos coming up to 97.
Alex Gutierrez was no saint, but when he died under the bodies of several officers,
421, I need medical code 3 parties turned unresponsive.
the initial assessment suggested he died solely from his sins. Few noticed the fight,
Yeah, medical center.
the words,
Southwest of Huron Parkway.
those words. It didn't matter that officers turned their body cameras on so late, not one captured the fight and the bulk of the restraint.
Make sure you're hot on your cam.
Didn't matter that responding firefighters had serious questions about some obvious injuries.
I don't think he had
broken arm.
When the Adams County coroner concluded something known as methamphetamine-induced excited delirium killed Gutierrez, the case all but disappeared. What do you know about excited delirium?
I don't know very much about it. It didn't make sense. I was confused as to what it was.
Excited delirium. Believers say it kills following bouts of bizarre behavior, unexpected physical strength, and hyperthermia, or a high body temp. Yet, the more 9 News Investigates looked into it, the more we found it only seems to happen after law enforcement restraint. We've now tied the term to more than 225 deaths across the U.S.
Serves as an excuse for aggressive or excessive and prolonged restraint.
Critics, like noted forensic pathologist Dr. Joy Carter-Rush, call the term nonsense. And as a result of our reporting, Colorado banned its use moving forward.
This term should be eradicated. It should not be used. I'm hoping that the National Association of Medical Examiners will take the responsible position of saying this term is not valid.
That organization, otherwise known as NAME, did, following our questions, tell medical examiners to stop using the term excited delirium on death certificates. But it left open the question of what to do with certificates like Alex Gutierrez's.
You know, that death certificate that caused the death really needs to tell the story, and it's not telling the story.
Dr. Gorniak says it's time for the Adams County coroner to change the cause and manner of death.
I have no doubt that his case is a homicide. None.
She says officers held Gutierrez prone or face down. They ignored his words, all while ignoring standard training in the U.S. that calls on officers to turn a suspect over once handcuffed.
But for the restraint component, Mr. Gutierrez would not have died at that time. You say, explain what led up to his death. You will end with, he was restrained face down. Forget what started it. This is how it ended.
Which leads to this problem for the very office that concluded excited delirium and not restraint killed Gutierrez.
Good afternoon, Adams County.
The new state law forbids the Adams County coroner, Monica Brancusia Jordan, from using the now largely debunked term in the future. But it says nothing about her use of it in the past.
Hi, my name is Chris Vanderveen. I'm a reporter with 9 News. Is Monica here?
And to date, she has not only refused to review the Gutierrez case.
Is she in today?
She's currently not available.
Do you know when she might be available?
Yeah, I don't govern her schedule.
She's refused our requests for an on-camera interview to explain why.
I would encourage them to not only look at the case, but sit down face to face with Avina.
Thing is so infuriating.
Avina DeLuna says this revelation tells her the time for ignoring her story is over.
My dad didn't experience those symptoms that come with excited delirium. He had a pile of officers on top of him. He was laid face down.
And she's not alone. Of the more than 225 deaths we've tied to use of the dubious term, only 2 have been reviewed by the offices that initially used it, leaving hundreds of families across the U.S. still looking for someone willing to believe.
Yes, finally somebody's believing me.
You take care.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Someone
Okay, bye-bye.
willing to listen.
I just needed a second opinion from somebody else who took the time to do their job thoroughly and understand what happened to my father.
Yeah, medical center.
There's more to what happened.
Southwest of Huron Parkway.
Need to be clear here. Homicide doesn't mean there was a crime, and all the officers were cleared by the local DA years ago. This doesn't change that, but it does show that perhaps hundreds of cases, hundreds of families across the U.S. were potentially given a very bad explanation for why their loved one died. We will be following up. And once again, if any leadership in Adams County wants to talk to me about this, you have my email. Chris Vanderveen, 9 News.